I watched a little bit of the Democratic National Convention last night, and I just think that what Michelle Obama made that speech so well and pointed out that, you know, we think things are bad, but when she said it can get worse, and that made all of us kind of sit up and think about it a moment. So I think that she, first of all, for Black women overall, Michelle Obama represents such integrity. She represents so much what it means to be a Black woman, and especially as a mate, as a partner with someone, and how she reminds me sometimes of my mom, and in no way except the values, to say this is about family, and our family is bigger than just what we are living in this one house together. Our family extends way beyond that. And so she was really good yesterday.
What stood out to me, and folks, before we started this interview, the mayor and I were talking, I was talking to her about some of the work I had done in Washington, D.C. I was privileged, Mayor Lyles, to be very close to Dr. Dorothy Height. And when, amen, right? And so,
amen, yes.
When Michelle Obama last night was speaking, and she said that she doesn't even like politics. And speaking of Black women, it reminded me of what Dr. Height used to always say. And I think I heard her say it in a small group before she said it publicly once. She said, Black women, and I know this from my mother and grandmother who raised me, Black women, you all don't always get to do what you want to do, but you do what you have to do. And when she said, I'm not into politics, but we might have to put our comfortable shoes on, pack a lunch and a breakfast, I just thought about Dorothy Height in the context of doing what has to be done. And that's what she's done, and that's what, frankly, all of you Black women have always done. I know us Black men could do a whole lot more, but if it weren't for you all, well, first of all, if it weren't for you all, we wouldn't have a Black woman.
Well, right? I think, you know, I have 5 brothers.
Okay.
And so I grew up in a house full of men growing to be their best selves. And sometimes they stumble. But what I think about Black women, we're not allowed to stumble that often. Often we have to stand there to be able to pick up. And that's what I remember about my mom, both as a mother and as a wife. She was always ready. That when you got to the place as a Black man that you couldn't get paid or couldn't get that job or didn't have that opportunity, she immediately grasped, this is about the soul of your manhood. And I'm going to be there to support it. And honestly, if all of us understood that the soul of this country right now is in jeopardy, and that we've all got to stand up and hold up Kamala Harris, hold up Joe Biden. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure where we want to live anymore. I've had so many people say, I'm moving out of the country. And I say, no, don't move. Stay here and fight.
Yeah.
Get those voters in.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine we'd have a convention where a former first lady is an African-American speaking in that way, and we're about to nominate an African-American as vice president, African-American woman, 2 of the most significant African-American achievements in history, all in one convention?
I don't know that I would have imagined it. You know, I thought that once we had elected Barack Obama, that, I mean, this is just maybe my age showing. I was thinking they're never going to elect another Black person. Just because, you know, they can now say, we did it already.
Yeah.
But they do not understand the strength of being Black in America. And that's one of the things. I come to Washington on occasion to visit, and I was walking through the halls one day, and Kamala Harris was walking down the hall with another senator. Of course, I didn't care who the other senator was. It was all about Kamala. And she glanced and said, and gave us a, you know, that head nod. I recognize you, you're Black, I understand you're here. But she was hammering into this man so badly, I felt like, you know, you need to just stop. You're not gonna win this one. Because she was focused. just so focused. And I had the opportunity to meet her when she came to Charlotte during her presidential bid. And I don't think that I saw a woman as warm and ready to embrace who she was in that moment. You know, you can sometimes tell with people, it's just something we know and do. And maybe it's just that sisterhood that we have. Perhaps that's it. But I would say to you that, you know, you can be both. You can have empathy, as Michelle Obama said last night, and still whoop some butt.
Yeah, that's right. Do what needs to be done.
That's right.
So I'm want to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
What is the RNC doing? Are they still coming to Charlotte at all, or just?
Yeah, they will be here. They will have one business meeting on Monday, the next Monday. The Rules Committee of the convention will be having their meeting because they actually, I know it's interesting that the president talks about pandemic and everything's okay, but even with the Republican delegates, they only elected 6 delegates per state to travel. And out of those, if you took everybody, that would be about 600 people, but we're expecting a little bit around 300 people to actually come to the city on a Sunday, meet on Monday, and then nominate President Trump for re-election. And that's what they're doing here. But again, it's not negotiable because we had to lay in on what was required because we still are in a pandemic. And I have to say that once they knew that the governor and I were synced up together and we were going to require this, they hired a former Homeland Security epidemiologist. They brought him in and did a plan, and they're doing things that are really unprecedented for a convention. They'll be wearing a fob like we have with our car that will actually record who they come in contact with so that if contact tracing is necessary, that can happen. And what I'm fascinated by is if you could do this for 300 people at a convention, why can't we do this for the millions of people in this country that continue? It astounds me that we can have this kind of effort and not do it in a way that serves the people, especially the disparities around Black and Latino people. That's where we need that kind of focus.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's amazing that they're doing that for that small group, and yet they've shown no interest. In fact, we've what's been reported is the opposite. That when they found out how blue states might be affected, they didn't want to do anything. They wanted it to just happen in the way it happened. So is Trump himself coming to Charlotte?
No, he will not be coming to Charlotte, which was, I think, his hope was to come and have one of those rallies. Well, we saw what happened in Tulsa, and there's not been another Trump rally since then. And finally, I think he understood that people have to wear masks to stop the spread of the disease. As my granddaughter says, the sickness, and it is. He saw in Tulsa that people died. I mean, Herman Cain was in Tulsa and he died of COVID.
That's right.
We could not have mass gatherings like that. And they have committed to social distancing, and the numbers are in on each room and everything. So I'm hopeful that within the next 48 hours of starting on Sunday and Monday, that they can have a good meeting. And honestly, when we recruited the RNC in 2018, the reason that we did it is that, one, this is a city that's basically equal Democrat and Republican. But more importantly, we're a city that we pride ourselves on being able to have diversity and inclusion. But we're also a city that we want people to understand you can come here and live and be welcomed. And I thought since we had hosted in 2012, President Obama, we would join a very short list of cities that would have hosted both the Democratic Convention and the Republican Convention. And as I tell them, I'm going to recruit you. I want you to come. I want you to spend your money. I want you to have a great time. but I will not be coming to your convention. And I stood by that the entire time. You know, I want you to feel welcome, but we can welcome you at the airport, and then you can go and do your business. And I think that's pretty much what we have to do now.
Indeed, indeed. Speaking of the 50-50 in your city, your state is a battleground state.
It is.
But before I do that, though, let me just ask, how are the COVID numbers in your city, by the way? Let me ask that first. Where are you all's numbers right now?
Right now, we are trending down. Our positivity ratings have gone from a 10.1 to about a 6.5. We are doing all remote virtual schooling. So that has helped make this a very defined moment. You know, if I were president, I would say if we could get just 8 weeks of stay at home and everybody participated in that, perhaps we'd be able to actually start our economy up. But right now, our hospitality industry has been decimated. We've got so many people unemployed. And the idea that we're not getting any money in people's pockets, and I've told many people this, you don't want to be in a southern city at 99 degrees, you're behind on your rent, you're behind on your utilities, then where are you going to go?
Yeah.
You're going to be in the streets, and our violence is up more than last year, and I'm really surprised by that, but I understand it. I mean, and this is violence happening between people that know each other, and particularly in our Black and Latino communities. People have to have hope. They have to have a job. They have to see their value. And right now, during this pandemic, we're not seeing that.